everyone. Welcome to Freehandly Made, AU, My Autistic Life. My name is Nisi and this is my channel. Today, I'm going to show you how I am stitching the border of this rag quilt that I'm making for my grandbaby. I'm going to switch the view real quick. So I've come a long way. I did the first border. I wanted to practice. I started doing it with a back stitch, but I didn't feel like that was strong enough. And I wanted to make sure this was good and strong because all of this is going to be ragged and I don't want this falling apart. So I did a double stitch, which is also known as a promise stitch in the quilting world for the border. It's supposed to be stronger actually than the back stitch. So hopefully that's the case. And I'm going to teach you and show you the stitch and how to do it. Now, my stitches definitely are not perfect, and in some areas they look a little messy because I had to reinforce these areas to make sure they don't come apart because I'm not using a machine. And so I had to go over each one of these areas again after I finished stitching just to give them extra strength in these areas to keep these down. And so let's get started. We are going to do the bottom border of the quilt today. And once that's done, then I'll show you how to cut the edges to prepare to wash it and to prepare to rag it. So we are almost done with this project, you guys. I say we. I'm almost done with this project, you guys. All right, stay tuned. You can see that I've drawn my line to help me know where I'm going to be stitching at. And first step is to thread your needle. And I try not to make my thread too long because I don't have, and I'm going to invest in some when I get back, especially now that I'm going to be quilting a lot more. They sell needles that has two separate holes in them. They'll have a hole here and then a hole here for the purpose of double threading stitching, which keeps the thread from tangling while you're stitching. I don't have any of those, unfortunately. So when I am sewing, doing this method, I have to go slower because you, as I learned the hard way last night, you don't want to sew thinking you're going all the way through and then you find out later after 4 stitches later that you actually tangled and you have a whole wad of thread on the back end, because then you have to undo everything you just did and start over. So you don't want your thread to be too long. So I just kind of eyeball it. I unwind it about four times, somewhere around there. Clip. And then I've got my needle sitting inside of my little pin cushion right here to kind of help me out. Got my needle threader. Put it through the needle threader. Poke this in a little bit more. All right. Then I'm going to take the end of my thread right here. Put it through the needle threader. Pull it through. All right. Take my needle out. Then I'm going to pull this one side. Go match the bottoms up. And what I normally do is I take the bottoms just like this, and I even it out in my fingers first. Oh, this part's a pain in the butt. I hate this part. Getting the thread set in the needle is the worst part of sewing, hand sewing ever. Just so y'all know, it's the part I hate the most. All right, so I have the two ends as close to even as I get it, and now to even out the needle, I run my finger like this, sets my needle so my thread is even, and I'm going to knot the end. 1. And I'm going to pull it through one more time. 2. Push it down. It's threaded, and I'm going to cut this end off at the end. Done. Now I'm ready to sew. So, oops, don't need that. I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to go ahead and make an extra secure knot in this corner. And I'm going to pull my thread. I'm going to go underneath this stitch right here and pull up just a little bit of material, just like that. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. I can't wait to get my different cell phone holder that will give you guys a better view of what I'm doing. Pull this through. All right. And I'm going to go 1. I'm pulling it right through the thread. 1. And do it again one more time. 2. And all this does is I'm anchoring my stitch going this way to this line of stitches right here. All right, so I'm going to start my stitches, and it's basically going to be a running stitch. Now you can do a running stitch two ways. You can put your needle through and then pull it up, and then pull it through and then pull it up like that, which is what I did this way. And I ended up not caring for it as much. So I'm going to do it a different way. I'm just going to do it the vertical stitch way. So I'm picking what length I want my stitch, and I'm pulling it through just like that. So there's my first stitch. And the reason why I'm double threading this is because if the thread comes loose and one breaks, you still have another thread still stitched into your blanket. So it just makes it a little stronger. You don't want to bunch up your fabric, but you do want to set your stitch in. Oh, I'm not gonna have to do that over. Let me do this over. My stitches are too wide for my liking. My stitches are too wide for how I like it. All right. There we go. So if you make a mistake, it's easy to fix it. You just fix it. Just pull your needle back through. Try not to get your thread tangled up like I just did. I didn't do my stitching. It was too, my stitches were too big. I want my stitches to be smaller. So I may actually do the running stitch the other way, like I did last night. So I can control easier. There we go. Let's start over. I want my stitches to be smaller. Make sure that your needle is going all the way through both fabrics. Make sure you're keeping your needle parallel to you. Like I said, my stitches are not even. It's my first quilt, so y'all don't pay attention to how uneven my stitches are. My understanding is the more you do this, the better your stitches will look. That's what I've been told. I've been told to try not to worry about it. Do the best you can. I'm not showing my quilts. My quilts are just being made for family. I'm not doing it to sell them. It's not a business, it's just a hobby. And right now, what I was told was to concentrate on, do the best you can with your stitches, obviously, but to concentrate on the strength of the stitches and the security of the stitches, especially since this is going to my 1-year-old granddaughter. She's going to be playing with it. All right, now I'm coming up to, this is the most difficult part of the hand stitching, is right here, because you really want to make sure that you do the loop, the stitch where the stitch is covering both of these fabrics at once. And I will be honest, I had a challenge with it last night. My husband will tell you I had some colorful language come out last night due to me fussing with it. But I will be going back over each one of these when I'm done with this whole row. And that's what the back looks like. And I'm pulling my stitches tight, but not so tight that it's causing the fabric to bunch up. And that is important with your stitching. And I'm keeping my needle parallel. There we go. All right. Now I need to do this all the way to the end, and I'll come back when it's time to stitch again. So I'll be stitching twice. This is the first set of stitches. So stay tuned. Now we're going to do the second round, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to fill in between the spaces that have no stitches. So we're going to start right here. just like that. And see how that stitch is crooked? So like I said, my stitches are definitely not perfect. Not even close. Yeah, I just got my thread. This is what I'm talking about when you get your thread snagged. So now you got to figure out which one of these threads is that one. And luckily I found it right off the bat. Pull it tight so that my thread gets even again. Come on, get into that stitch. This is the hardest part. Here we go. This is the hardest part, is getting it. Sometimes you can't get it right back in the same hole. You just do the best you can. Trying to smooth out my material as I go. It's not going to be the neatest looking quilt, but it'll be sturdy. Hopefully. Hopefully it'll be sturdy. Hopefully it doesn't fall apart. I wish my stitches were neater and more even and consistent, but hopefully that will come with time as I do these, as I practice with different types of quilting projects. I say practice makes perfect. I'm pulling the thread parallel, if you guys can see, because that helps keep your material from bunching. Also helps keep your thread from tangling up too. And coming to the tricky area. This is the tricky area. Don't pull it too tight because you don't want to bunch it up. All right. And this is the tricky area. Definitely the tricky area. Now I'm going to do a back stitch right here because I didn't do one the first time around, and I want this to be solid and reinforce it. There we go. Much better. And then I'm going to come back up through this stitch again. It's probably overkilling it, but I just want to make sure that it's good and solid. Right, I'm coming through this stitch right here. Staying parallel is not as easy as it looks, y'all. I'm here to tell you. It has definitely been a challenge for me, trying to keep my needle and thread parallel. All right, so I took you through the first square all the way through here. So that's nice and strong. When I get done, I'll go over the back side of this, each section, make sure this is super, super strong, just like I did on this other side. So that's pretty much it. You're filling in all the blank spaces all the way down. And then I'll do another couple extra double stitches through each one of these areas just to lock it in. So that's it. And I'm not going to I'm not going to do an entire video of me finishing the other side like I did the first round. So I'll finish this up, and then I'll finish the other two sides, probably when I'm in Texas. And possibly, if I'm ready to, I may actually rag this sucker while I'm in Texas. Just depends on how far I get, okay? So stay tuned. This project's almost done. And like I said, for my first quilt, so far I'm pretty happy with it. I am nervous about the washing part because I'm worried about the yellow fabric getting messed up from the fabric bleeding from the black fabric. So we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully it turns out okay. I'm a little nervous about it. So y'all just stay tuned. Until then, we'll talk to you guys later. Always remember, dare to be you, dare to be different. Love from Montana. Bye, everybody.